What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and this is finally my first deck profile in like 3 months, which is really sad and pathetic. But if you guys can smash the like and subscribe button, I would know that you guys are always interested in these kind of videos, and I'll try to upload them more than once per month, potentially like once per day. Anyways, this deck is really insane. It's clearly tier 1. A lot of people are winning regionals right now with this deck, and you know, it makes sense. It's a 1-card combo deck with 12 starters, so 85% chance of having your 1-card combo, and even when you don't necessarily have like a 1-card combo, there's still a, you know, a combination of a few cards that might allow you to get there, you know? So it's really not too bad, and you can play a lot of hand traps in this deck, but the one issue is that you can't really play spells and traps because they're kind of like allergic to having spells and traps in the grave. The good super heavy samurai effects, they can only really trigger when you have like no spells and traps in grave. So if you want to play spells and traps, you probably can, but they have to have like a graveyard effect to like banish themselves. So Clockwork Knight, for example, is a decent one, but it's only really broken if you're benefiting off of transforming the monsters into machines. So maybe if you're playing Cyber Dragon or something, eh? And if you want to see a Cyber Dragon Super Heavy Samurai deck, all you have to do is so simple, man. Smash the like button right now, my man. What are you waiting for? And now let's get right into it. Alright, so I'll try to go as in-depth as I possibly can. So I'm playing one Jizukiru. It's a searchable kaiju because it's a level 5 or higher machine monster that you can search off of Cliff or Genius. It's pretty self-explanatory. Regulus is the same thing, so it's searchable by 2 cards actually. The Cliff or Genius for the same reason the Jizukiru is searchable, but also the Sargas because it is a Theron monster. And this card's insane because it is an Omni-Negate that negates the effect and not activation of whatever you negate. So if your opponent has like, let's say, Branded Lost and Branded Fusion, you hold your Regulus for the Branded Fusion, and the Branded Lost is irrelevant because Branded Lost only prevents your opponent from negating the activation of your cards, but when you are not negating the activation, rather negating the effect, you really don't have to give 2 shits. So yeah, this card's insane, and also getting back the Soul Piercer is really good because when you know, negate and send the Regulus, you're going to be getting a search actually for free. And playing 2 Regulus is also very, very interesting because the second one will get back the first one, and then when you negate something, you use up the first Regulus to negate, and then you still have the Regulus on the field so that you can negate again on your opponent's turn. So 2 Regulus is really cool for this reason, and also going first, hard drawing this card is really, really good. Even going second, because going first you can play through hand traps by having this card early on, and going second you can play through interruptions and also get back resources by getting back the Soul Piercer. So even if you get ashed, it's not going to be the end of the world. You have another attempt of getting a search. So there's really no reason not to consider playing 2 Regulus. I want to say it's just an incredible card. Everybody's playing 1 right now, but I think 2 might probably be the right call. Anyways, now for the other miscellaneous monsters. So we actually have 3 monsters that, you know, pretty much are kind of... They always come as a package. So Ancient Gearbox, which is searchable by 2 cards again. Gear Gigant X, as well as Ancient Gear Ballista. And when this card is searched, you can search a machine monster from your deck, well, Earth Machine, with exactly 500 attack and or defense from your deck to your hand. So you can either search the Tunneler or search the Soul Claw in this deck. And this card is a level 2 extender. It doesn't really do anything else, so it's not like super incredible. But the Tunneler, on the other hand, even though its in-hand effect rarely comes up, sometimes it does, the graveyard effect is actually incredible. So it's pretty much a pot of avarice. So that's actually really important to recycle back your resources, like your Scarecrow, for example, and some other one-ofs like the Scales or the Soul Pierce Maker or whatever else that you might be needing back into your deck. So yeah, very good card. And this is usually going to be searched and then pendulum summoned because yes, this deck, even though it's not pendulums, it can still pendulum summon very easily. And then you're going to be using it as a rank 4 material or a link material. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the explanation of these cards. Soul Pierce Maker, Jesus, I'm gonna keep messing up the name of this card. This is a really good card, so you can equip it from the hand into the, you know, on the field to a Super Heavy Samurai monster and then tribute it to summon any Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck. So clearly you can understand why this card is really good, especially in tandem with the Link one because it can be used as a link material, but you're typically going to be tributing it to summon a monster from the deck with this card. And the best monster to summon is the Scales because when this card is special summoned, it's a monster reborn, so you're getting revive back a level 4 or lower Super Heavy Samurai monster. Actually, this is on normal or special summon, so even if you draw this card early on, it's still pretty decent. Now the final card that is really interesting, well actually we have 2. So this is the exact same as this card right here, the Soul Claw. The only difference is that this is a level 4 monster, so it's actually obviously much better because you can make rank 4 plays and level 8 synchro plays way easier. But the Spy is not bad at all against certain decks going second, because you're going to be able to like steal like their triple tactic talents or whatever else, because if you have no spells and traps in your grave, you can special summon it from the hand, so pretty much free extender. And also you can tribute it from your field to the grave in order to set any spell or trap from your opponent's graveyard. Yeah, this also can get you a card set on your spell and trap zone so that you can outperform a Pile 5 Rainbow Magician, but it can't be like turn 1. Anyways, now for the other monsters. So we got 2 big Benkeis. It's kind of like a Garnet if you only play one. This card with the Wakushi can only scale a Pendulum monster directly from your deck to the spell and trap zone, or rather the Pendulum scale. So if you hard draw this and you play 1, it's bad. But if you play 2, even if you hard draw 1, it's not the end of the world because it's not like really bad. But yeah, you definitely want to play 2, and you don't want to play 3 because then you're gonna see it way too often and it's not really a good card. It's not like an actual starter on its own at all, whereas the Wakushi is a 1-card starter. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And then now we have the 12 1-card starters, so all of them actually end with the exact same board. Honestly, the Bike is probably the safest 1-card combo, even though it's actually the worst one when it gets stopped, because not really, actually the Wakushi is probably the worst one if you get stopped, but if you use the effect on an empty board, your opponent will never Ash or Droll you, because Gamma is a threat that is really widely recognized this format. 76% chance, I believe, of drawing a 3 of in a hand of 5 in a deck of 40. I think it's something like that, pretty much like a third of a chance to draw like this card, and then if the Gamma resolves, the game is completely over. So yeah, that's pretty nasty. And what else actually? The Soul Piercer on its own, even if it gets ashed, it's still a 1-card combo, so that's really cool. And this, it's not a 1-card combo if it gets like stopped, but it's not really, you know, a big deal. Actually, I think no, never mind. Yeah, if you go normal summon, it goes from attack into defense. It can lose to Ogre here because the search only applies when it's in defense, and then you put it into attack. So this is probably the best card to Ogre if your opponent normal summons it. Whereas I would not Ogre a Wakushi because it depends on the situation, but I would usually do not Ogre the Wakushi if it's the starter because it's going to be again on an empty board. So I would rather hold my Ogre for the Link one because now I know that my opponent really cannot do anything about it. So yeah, you really want to play around Gamma if you can. Anyways, that's it for the starters. Like I said, 85% chance of drawing a 1-card starter in your deck. This deck is very consistent. Like I said, even when you don't have your 1-card starters, you can still kind of play the game a little bit. For the hand traps, it's really up to you. The only hand traps that I feel are absolutely necessary are Droll and Gamma. They come as a package. A format where Droll is good is a format where Gamma is good, and a format where, you know, skills and Link ones that really have to revive back directly in the zone always mean that Ogre is good to a certain extent too. And this card has a little bit of overlap. Like against Sprite, it's not too bad if your opponent is really cocky and doesn't go into a red, because against the Gigantic, it's pretty much like a Gamma against them. It negates and destroys. But if they turbo out red, then you're screwed. All hope is lost. Nibiru is really good against the greedy Sprite players as well, because they're gonna be going into the sprint and then summon a bunch of monsters and then go into then they go into Gigantic and then it's like already like 6 summons. Whereas if they turbo out Gigantic really early, then the Nibiru is dead because you will not be able to summon monsters that are not exactly level 2s. So this is usually good when people are not expecting it, and combined with, you know, Veiler or Ogre or Gamma, it can be like devastating. But against this deck, if you are playing cards like Stardust Dragon, even Nibiru and Veiler is actually not enough. And yeah, finally the last card is Driver, which of course I wish I didn't have to play, oh my god. Anyways, for the extra deck now, Baron de Fleur with Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, of course it's obvious. Now the less obvious thing is Stardust Dragon. If you haven't watched my combo video, I really recommend you to watch it because I showcase 2 combos where your opponent might Nibiru you somewhere, and if you do run this card, you will pretty much not lose to Nibiru at all. It's only going to make either lose one... you're either going to lose 1 negate, or you're going to be losing 0 negates, but you will not have a draw 2. So that's the only thing that Nibiru really does against this deck. If you play this card, if you do not play this card, then Nibiru can be devastating. And I'm also playing Sarutobi as my synchro monster, so this is a quick effect MST, which is really good, but also it burns your opponent for 500, so this is also a built-in Gagaga Cowboy, and summoning it is just as easy to summon as Cowboy because it's a level 8 synchro monster, so you're using 2 level 4 monsters, one of them being a tuner monster. So you got the Wakushi, which is a tuner, but the Bai can also be a tuner monster, and it can increase the monster of the level of a monster by 2, so even though it's a level 2, it can easily turn it into a level 4. So yeah, that's it for the synchros. And now for the Xyz, Zeus, Sargas, as well as Merrymaker. So you can have a 4-material Zeus really easily with this card, or rather with this package. And you can also search a Regulus in the process, so this card's really nasty. And if you also have like a, let's say, Tornado Dragon on your opponent's turn, you can detach a card and then destroy a spell or trap your opponent controls, and then the Sargass is going to be bouncing back a card or destroying a card on the field because of the fact that an Xyz material was detached by, well, from an Xyz monster. So this card is like super ultra mega broken. It's ridiculous. It's one of the best Xyz monsters in the entire game by a long shot. And yeah, of course, Gear Gigant X as well as Baguska. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's kind of obvious why you want to play these cards. Gear Gigant can search like any level 4 lower machine monster from your deck or graveyard to hand. So it's way better to play than Ancient Gear Ballista if you do not have the space for this card. And yeah, obviously the other effect doesn't matter, but it can go into a Zeus because it's an Xyz monster, whereas this cannot. And yeah, the Baguska is the turbo plan. When you get hit by Droll, you're not really trying to make negates, you just make Baguska pass, and you hope that it's enough. Now for the Link monsters, of course, access code Talker with Appaloosa and Asa. This card's really important. You can also crash an Asa and unbrick, so if your hand is dog shit going second, you can still play the game. And then Clifford Genius, again, searches your Jizukiro so that you can out that Expurli Noir, or any other annoying piece of shit. And finally, 2 Scarecrows. Oh my god. Okay, I actually got it. Okay, there we go. Alright, fantastic. So yeah, 40 cards in the main deck, 15 cards in the extra deck. I don't have a side deck, obviously, but I have a bunch of ideas for you. So if you want to, you can play some Bestial Monsters, so Magnemite, Druid Worm, whatever. On your own turn, you Pendulum Summon the Magnemite, and then end phase, you get Druid Worm or Baldric or whatever. And Magnemite being a level 6 monster is really relevant because you can have a lot of level 2 tuners in this deck. And 2 plus 6 equals 8, revive back the level 2, and then you make the Baron, so it's just a really convenient way of getting negates, and this is really good against Despia and Dragon Link, and Despia can actually be really scary against this deck. If people are sending the 5 Rainbow from deck to grave, and then they're trying to get it back, you can just go Bestial Banish, and then they don't get it back. And there's also like a Master Pendulum that you can search on the end phase, and then destroy 5 Rainbow, but that's kind of shit. Archfiend Eccentric is probably a little better at dealing with 5 Rainbow, but you do have to Hard Ride, which kind of sucks. It's not really the end of the world, but you're always citing 3 Eccentric in this deck anyways, because at worst it just outs like Scale Drain and Vanity's Fiend. So 2 Floodgates that are really devastating against this deck. And by the way, there's another Super Heavy Samurai monster that you really have to look into. It's another out to Scale Drain. I think this is it. So Super Heavy Samurai Thief, it does destroy Scale Drain because it tributes itself for cost, if I recall correctly. But the issue is that you're locked under Super Heavy Samurai monsters summons for the rest of the turn. So yeah, that kind of blows, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, the name is Thief. Anyways, Masurao, if you want to play it, it's not too bad. It's generic, level 12. A little hard to summon, but really nasty effect. General Shanao kind of sucks, but it's decent, but it's a little too slow. And then Tornado Dragon, of course, if you want to make Sargass a little better. Unicorn if you want to make access code better. Ancient Gear Ballista, there's actually a really neat combo where you can play this with like a Masurao and Soul Horns or something, and then you can make the attack of a monster upon controls to like 0, and then attack twice and pretty much win directly. Something like that, whatever, I don't even know, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Soul Gaia Booster if you want to play more than one, and finally Beyond the Pendulum if you want to search like 5 Rainbow or some garbage. I don't even know, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.